So we are on page 2. This progressive movement from darkness to light, it's so graded, so, step by step. Here we had read this last time, that even in this ultimate dissolution, where there was absolutely nothing, there was an unremembering entity, some consciousness which is unconscious, something that was not aware of what is light, but is wanting to break out of the darkness. It's this in-between stage. This unremembering entity, survivor of a slain and buried past, that being that is present, it's not even a being. It's just a kind of some spirit. But it seems to be condemned to resume the effort and the pang because of it's completely plunged in darkness. It wants to come out of the darkness, can't succeed in doing so, goes back again and again into darkness. This is the earth's nature at a certain stage. We do not know what is light. We do not know what is joy. We know that we are in a state of something that is not an expression of what we ought to be, without really knowing that what we ought to be. This is not what is right, this is not what is good, this is not what is beautiful. That state where you are in, but where to find the solution, how to break out of it, where is the light, this is not there. If I don't know at all what is light, how can I yearn for it? Something is yearning for a distant change without really knowing what it is moving. And that's the next line, an unshaped consciousness, desired light. There is no, you might say, precision, no precise outline in the consciousness. It's very vague. And a blank prescience yearned towards distant change, as if it knew that somewhere it is there. Prescience, you know from before. You know that this state cannot last. This state of darkness, of error, of falsehood, this cannot last. It has to be altered. But how, in which way, how to proceed, this is the state we often are in. Life is not always totally without hope, but there is no clarity, there is no this direction. How do I proceed towards something that is more beautiful, more luminous? I am not aware. There is a yearning, but there is no knowledge, no direction, no guidance. Why? Because perhaps the force that is there, that seems to sustain the universal play, the universal energy, she seems to have forgotten that her role is to lead, to make evolution proceed from darkness to light. That is her role. She seems to have forgotten that. She seems to have fallen back into darkness. So it's a very sweet image now. As if a childlike finger laid on a cheek reminded of the endless need in things, the heedless mother of the universe. An infant longing clutched the somber past. So as if a childlike finger laid on a cheek reminded the heedless mother of the universe of the endless need in things. That is the prose order. There is a creative, universal force, energy, evolution, Prakriti. But she seems to be returning back again and again into the darkness. Yet, a slight yearning is there. So it's like a little child who seems to have to remind his mother that you have to do something for me, you have to look after me. Have you forgotten I am there? That aspect, she has fallen asleep. So it is as if with that finger, he is trying to wake her up. Because he needs her, that little spirit of the entity, the spirit that wants to no longer be the way it is. He needs to be guided, he needs to be helped, but she seems to have forgotten. It's a very touching image. So it's like an infant longing clutched the somber vast. She is the mother of the universe, she is the somber vast, she is the huge play of darkness, and a longing which is at present very small, just a slight beginning, like a little infant, like a baby who wants to be looked after, who wants to be helped. So because of that, gradually the darkness begins to go. Just like in the early morning, very, very early morning, at some point it stops being as dark as it was in the middle of the night. Insensibly. Insensibly is, we can't really say where, when, at which point does the beginning of dawn happen. A new dawning, it's like a promise. Every dawn is the promise of a new possibility or a new manifestation or a new expression of that which until then had not happened. There is this possibility always. We don't have to be trapped in darkness. Insensibly, somewhere, a breach began. There's a gap in the wall of darkness. So it's a physical description of the early morning, very, very early morning, where, at which point, does the first sign of not darkness, it may be a slight grayness, then slight whiteness begin. We can't say, we can't show it. In the same way, when and where, at which moment of our life do we no longer accept to remain totally ignorant, totally unconscious, totally helpless, at which point we don't break out into a tremendous revolt. That's unusual. But at some point you feel uneasy, you feel unwilling to remain the way you are, but you don't know what to do and how to be, but you know that I don't want to stay in this condition anymore. That is the breach. It's just a gap, it's a beginning. Insensibly, somewhere a breach began. A long, lone line of hesitating hue. It's a very beautiful, it is called onomatopoeia in English, because you have three same sounds, long, lone, line. And L is a liquid. It's a liquid consonant. So you have the sense of something flowing. And it's longer. It sounds like a longer line, though the line is exactly a pentameter. But the way the rhythm has been, the way he has used the rhythm of hesitating hue, which is very beautiful. Hesitating hue would mean, is it white? Is it grey? Is it pearly? What color is the very, very beginning of the very early dawn? We don't know. We can't say. There is no defined color. It's just a color which is an absence of darkness. A long, lone line of hesitating hue, like a vague smile, tempting a desert heart. A desert heart is a heart that had lost the capacity to love, to live, to feel joy, to feel the need to participate in the world of life. That's a desert heart. So that heart which had fallen into some kind of despair, an acceptance of failure, that heart has to be woken up. So it is a vague smile, tempting the heart, wake up from that state. Despair is when you give up everything. You give up on life. You give up on the purpose of existence. There are moments when you do that. It has to be slowly woken out of that state, because that is the thing that drags us down again and again. It's what is the state of consciousness that chooses to go back into unconsciousness. We do choose to go back into inertia. It's not that there is inertia in us only. We want to return there. We find that that is where I'm at peace. So we have to wake up. We have to move out of that state. Something has to be there. And the sky gives us an example every day. The outer sky that slowly breaks out of darkness. We can do the same in our inner being, in our consciousness. So, troubled the far rim of life's obscure sleep. That long line of hesitating hue troubled the far rim of life's obscure sleep, because the beginning of light comes at the horizon, far away. At the edge of is a moment where we break out of our obscurity, physically also. When you wake up in the morning, you come back, you don't suddenly wake up and you are full of energy. There is a transition. There's a slow transition between the absolute darkness and then that need to no longer sleep. Then you wake up. Unless, unfortunately, you wake up with an alarm, then you jump out of bed, which is not really the ideal way of waking up, because there your psychological patterns are disturbed. Why does this change come? Arrived from the other side of boundlessness, an eye of deity peered through the dumb deeps, as if just a being of light is looking through the wall of screen of darkness. An eye which is not dark. You see, he had started the canto by saying the gods were sleeping. Maybe they are waking up. Their eyes are open. And they are slowly shedding their light on us through the dumb deeps, through the inconscient, inertia. This just the first beginning of one who has come to announce that a change will come. There's always, when there is a new stage in evolution, a new stage in a manifestation of consciousness, there is usually someone who comes like a herald to announce, who is not the change, who is the announcer of the change. There's an intermediary being. This, in the next line, he calls this a scout. The scout goes ahead of the others. In the army, the scout goes ahead, watches the layout of the territory, watches what is the situation, the conditions, what is the resistance. This is called to reconnoiter. He's taken terms from the army. So reconnaissance here has nothing to do with gratitude as in French. This is the original reconnaissance. You find out exactly how things are. So something, it's a slight beginning of light, like a scout in a reconnaissance from the sun. The sun is the source of all light, the supreme. And from there, just a messenger, a kind of one who is sent to look whether the earth is ready, is the earth willing, is man ready to open? Because otherwise the light will come and we will not realize it. It might become too much for us. It becomes like a pressure, what happens sometimes. We call down too much light and we are not ready for it, then there is a kind of a breakdown, the disbalance takes place. This is why in the divine plan there is a very progressive change. It's not a sudden change. Because if I ask for a sudden change, you say, I want to change absolutely, totally, and I really concentrate, I draw the power, I call down a force, that force does come. But I am not ready for it. My being is impure still, it's weak, it's imperfect, there's a breakdown. The receptivity cannot happen. So it's like in the divine plan there has to be a preliminary stage where the earth and man and the consciousness has to gradually open up. Like a flower, doesn't open straight, it first is a bud. Then slowly it opens to the sunlight. So this scout, in a reconnaissance from the sun, it seemed, amid a heavy cosmic rest, the torpor of a sick and weary world, to seek for a spirit, soul and desolate, too fallen to recollect forgotten bliss. This eye of deity is looking amid a heavy cosmic rest, a universal dullness, a universal inertia. What is it looking for? A spirit. One may be single spirit, soul, one spot. Just like even if there is one being, one spot, like the light comes in the sky at one place first, where there is somewhere a wanting to no longer be so ignorant. Desolate is not just unhappy, it is also alone. Somewhere, it has to start with one single call. There has to be, and that's the rest of the poem you will find, that call is really the yoga of Ashwapati. He is one in the front of the memorial quest. It's not the whole earth or the race that rises up in aspiration, unfortunately. There is a kind of hierarchy that Sri Aurobindo always talks of. And here you have one being that has opened to the light. Just the beginning, that spirit which is unhappy with the darkness, too fallen to recollect forgotten bliss. But it is unhappy because it doesn't remember clearly what it has lost. To say that we are born from the divine, everything is created by the divine, then why are we not divine? Why are we not perfect? Somewhere we have lost the connection. We have lost the contact. So this is the whole problem of man and earth. The origin is light. We live in darkness. We're broken off from our source. Something has to wake up, and then at some point, perhaps it is the pressure of darkness and pain that forces us to turn our gaze to the divine, to light, to say, this darkness can't go on, this pain does not go on. So that is in a way the benefit of pain. Slowly we wake out of this because we have cut off our whole connection with Him, with the Source. We have trapped ourselves in our egos and our ignorance, and there is no contact. And it is in this world that we suffer, there is frustration, there is pain, there is sorrow. So much so that a point may come when you say, it's enough, it can't go on like this. We have to grow out of this. So this scout comes in, intervening in a mindless universe. The rest of the universe is unconscious. This light, the messenger of light, comes into a world that is still not aware of what is light. Its message crept through the reluctant hush. The hush here is not just silence, it is inertia, reluctant to change. This dullness. This light is making a way through this. What does it do? Waking the earth back to its purpose. The purpose is to move towards a new stage of evolution. And that new stage may not be simple, may not be easy, but that is the purpose why we are. So evolution is often an adventure of consciousness. Adventure really means not what we usually understand by the word, but there is a sense of danger. To venture is to dare, to do something that is unknown. So we have to break out of our comfortable state of sleep and dullness, calling the adventure of consciousness and joy. Each time we move to a new stage and open to a new possibility of expression, of existence. Because the consciousness opens, there is an expression of delight. The manifestation was created by delight, for delight. By the delight, the creative ananda, and it is this joy has to be manifested ultimately in all things. When you are complete, you have finally fulfilled your purpose in existence, then there is supreme ananda. But that takes a long time because we refuse. We have to accept the fact that we have to struggle, we have to strive, we have to move out of towards the light, but darkness will pull us back. This is the way earth proceeds. She moves into the darkness. She moves out of the darkness. She moves back into the darkness. Again and again, man's consciousness is the same. It's more comfortable in the darkness until at some point you say, I don't want to remain ignorant all the time. But how do I open to the light? I don't know. I don't know where is light. I make mistakes. I mistake sometimes darkness to be a form of light. Error for me becomes truth. So there is the daring, there is the difficulty, there is the danger. Change does not necessarily mean that I'm going to change from the lesser to the greater. This possibility of using change, we say things have to change. Yes, in our daily life also we say we have to change, things must change. Change into what? From what to what? Are we sure that we are changing for the better? Do we know what is good? How can you change for the better if you have no idea of what is truly good? So there is a groping, there is an attempt, there is failure. All this is part of the adventure. But there has to be movement. And when there is a finding of something where we are sure that I am no longer part of what I was, I am completely moving into a new field of experience, then there is delight. But not until then. And this is the purpose of existence. So in one phrase has given us the whole purpose of manifestation and evolution, the adventure of consciousness and joy. The whole play of our universal experience. From total ignorance to consciousness, from absolute acceptance of failure to that final return to the source from which we really came, that Ananda. Then you have fulfilled your purpose. Fulfillment gives joy. But this is slow in coming because the downward pull is very strong. Inertia is dull. There is a gravitational pull of ignorance, of inconscience, and therefore conquering nature's disillusioned breast. Nature always says this is not possible. That's why she keeps on falling back. People have come, people have tried a little, they have failed, they go back into the darkness, they go back into the error. This sense of disillusionment comes when you realize that all that you believed in was not what you thought it was wrong. I had a certain hope, I had a faith, I was sure of something, and when I find that, no, it's not true at all. It's a very painful experience. Nature does that. She always opens to the light. She opens to life. She falls back into death. At some point, she might say, then why attempt it at all? Why should I try to move back into a new life, a new world, if there also I have to face death? Which is what yogis have done many over the centuries. They withdraw from the world of manifestation if they can, from the play of all this external manifestation, and enter into communion only with that which was non-manifest, the soul. You become one with the soul, and this is what you call mukti. I'm cutting off myself, all connection with the world. Is that the reason why the world was made? Just so that I can break off all connection with it? Nature was made by the same creator who made the soul. So it's not by turning away from this world that we can realize its purpose. But because it has been failing, she has become disillusioned. But she again and again attempts. That is also the power. So every morning there is a kind of a new beginning. Every night is a form of that disillusionment. So every suffering, every fall, every death is a kind of disillusionment. Every hope, every aspiration is a new opening. And so conquering nature's disillusioned breast compelled renewed consent to see and feel. So nature is once again ready to start her journey forward. After having fallen into darkness, after having accepted to reject, you might say, not to open her eyes to light at all. Nothing seemed to exist. There is nothing but darkness. There is no play of manifestation. When morning comes, you become aware that there is manifestation. Even physically, when you are totally in the dark, nothing exists. When light comes, you see, yes, there are trees, there are rivers, there are houses, There is a whole world. It's a perception that changes. If our perception changes, our notion of reality changes. If our consciousness changes, then we are aware of things we until then refuse to recognize. It's not that things are not there, but I have closed my eyes to them. So for me, they are not there. Compelled, renewed consent to see and feel. So it's like a pressure. That call to the adventure of consciousness and joy compelled the consent, because unless we consent, we cannot really participate in our journey. I do not know if you have read that very beautiful talk by the mother, the Entretien. If only humanity consented to be spiritualized. We have to consent. The guidance is there, the light is there, but if the consent is not there, then we can't really open to it, we can't feel its presence. And that's the distinct difference between one person and another. Somebody has made a consent and is ready to move forward. Somebody says, where is the path? I don't see anything. Where should I move? So I don't move. I stay where I am. I'm quite comfortable in ignorance. I don't want to talk about progress. So this is the whole problem. If I refuse consent, then there is no progress. And that he will not do it for me, the divine. I have to do it. The guidance is there, the guide is there, but I have to want that guidance.
The consent has to be there.
The consent is yours. If you don't make the consent, he will not put any pressure on you. Stay that way, as long as you want. Stay like a piece of stone, though you don't look like one, but inside there is no change. Not stone in the sense of being hard, but there is no change, there is no yearning for change, there is an acceptance of heaviness and dullness and ignorance, and we say, well, that's the way I am. There's nothing to be done.
Only parts of us consent, other parts.
Is
it only some parts consent, other parts take?
Don't. That's why it takes. That is why you have this recurring problem. One part in you just wants, one part refuses. So sometimes you wake up and sometimes you go back. That part that refuses pulls you down again. One part that opens up wakes you up again. And this is why we seem to be moving in the same rut. We are not really moving, we move without going anywhere. And this is what our story has been. That's why day and night, life and death, this is the alternation. This is the pattern that Savitri has come to break. Because there is in us, and we have this connection with darkness which is deep-rooted. We have also somewhere an opening to light. So we kind of move between these two. But we move without going anywhere. That's the whole problem. We go trekking, we go journeying, but have we really changed our whole consciousness? Something does happen if I go to maybe a very beautiful place or the tall mountain. Maybe I can connect with the heights, but then I come down again and I again connect with the depths. I connect with the lowest levels. So this is not a very steady or even comfortable state.
Can we say that even if one being of ours, one part of ours has consented, can we say that could be the beginning?
That is the beginning. If you can connect all the other parts of your being around that, one part in you is always there, turn to the light, and that is your psychic. The psychic is simply an embodiment of light, which you have pushed into the background, you're not even aware of it. But if there is a true aspiration, it comes from the psychic. Then if you can, that is your yoga. You, you, you might say the other parts of the being, body, life, mind, all these don't have any relation with the psychic by itself, because the ego, I say I am a person, and that I is my ego. And the ego is body, life, mind, and all that. It is when you can break the ego, it's a very strong construction, but it is actually a formation which is not permanent, it is not real. But it is a formation for the time being, it's quite strong. If I can break that barrier and relate to the innermost presence of light, and all my energies and all my aspirations, all my activities stem from there. I don't have to change my activity. You don't have to change your work. You have to change the way you do the work. The work has to stem from that inner contact. It's like Mother said to somebody, when you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth, what do? I brush my teeth. No. If you can feel that I am brushing your teeth, I am helping you to brush your teeth, that means you relate to her even in the smallest, most commonplace activities. Then it's no longer a commonplace activity, it becomes an expression of your contact with the divine. So it's not the work that is important only, it is what you are in your inner life, in your state, which is expressed in your outer being. Actually, it's very important, isn't it? To be, especially when you have come to a certain age, to be very, very close to the mother, especially when you are in the bathroom. That's the place people fall down. But if you could hold on to her, you wouldn't fall down. That's the place where you have to really hold on to her very hard. You think, no, it's not the bathroom, this is not the place where I should relate with her. But I tell myself every day, this is the place where you relate most with her. Because this is where you can otherwise have acceptance of physical fall and every other kind of fall.
It's also such a liberation, such a good feeling that you say even the smallest things in the life,
Very small
the daily
things.
life can be so luminous when you just
Yes.
involve
Anything. It doesn't have to be anything special. We associate that if you want to turn to the mother, you go to the samadhi, or you sit in front of a photograph, or you read Savitri, and after that you do everything else just as if it's enough. Can you not? Don't read anything. Don't go to the samadhi if you don't have the time. You don't have to, because you're always there. You're constantly in touch with her. Wherever you are, whatever you are saying, doing, if you can be in that state, then that is the integral yoga. It's not a specific yoga. It integrates every single part of your being and every single activity. That is the yoga of Sri Aurobindo. It takes up the whole material, vital, mental existence. If it can be turned into some kind of a yoga. Yoga is connection, yoga is union. That's the real meaning. Yoga is not asanas, as nowadays people call it. Yoga is that you're really linked, one with the divine. Then it's all right.
Maybe I'll ask a personal question.
Hmm?
It's very, something I've gone through, that's why I'm saying. When I was back home, I knew I had to be there. I did everything. I felt that no, I have to go back to Bhattacharya. Why that feeling was so strong? Is it because, because we were discussing that any place, that's why I asked.
No, it's...
Because I kept asking myself also why I'm feeling it.
You want to go back to Pondicherry, you had gone back
When I was at home.
when you were with your husband. Yes, but you I can't say exactly, difficult, but you had this, you knew that he was very, very sick. You knew that became an occasion for you to call mother, to stay in touch. But you also know that each of us, we have a place where we belong. To know exactly where you belong is a very great gift. It's a place where your spirit is at rest. And you knew that this is your place. This is where you can dedicate yourself to the purpose why you are on earth. There you had not gone for that. You had gone to look after somebody who was very sick. He is a person very dear to you, yes. But you knew that that was something that would not last anyway. Your real home is where your soul has chosen to bring you. And this is where it has brought you. There it was a sense of duty, it's a sense of a bond which you had with him. All those things are necessary, they are also part of life. And that also gave you a chance to call her. Suffering, difficulties are often the reason when we really call for help. As mother has said, you call, of course. Whom else will you call? When you have difficulty, she's put it in one of their entretiens, says, appelez-moi, call me. If you call sincerely, I'll be there with you. So you had the strength to face the difficulty. It's not that the situation changes. The situation has its pattern, but the strength to face the situation is the help that she gave you. It's not that I'm calling mother so everything should become all right, she should become well. No, it's not that. That's not mother's role. Each thing has its own dharma, has its own karma also. There's a pattern. But how do I participate in my activity? That is up to me. A thought was sown in the unsounded void. To sound really means to measure the depth, the original meaning. So the void is endlessly deep. In that depth of darkness, in that depth of absolute emptiness, a thought was sown. A thought is the first movement that comes out of your mind before you can put it into expression. Thought comes and then you work out that thought into action. So the first beginning of change in the mind, a sense was born within the darkness depths. Again, a response in the depths of darkness. A memory quivered in the heart of time. That is what is in the world of time, in the world of man's life. There is a yearning for immortality, for divinity, for God, for light, for freedom. We have not learned, we have not experienced these things. We don't know what is immortality, then why do we yearn for it? Somewhere we know, in one part of us, somewhere we are part of that world of light which has gone, which we have moved away from, or turned our face away from. But this is the symbol dawn, that is why it's a symbol dawn. Every dawn is an opportunity for a new opening, and every new opening is a dawn. It comes not only in the morning, it can come any time. A new dawning, a new opening. So a memory quivered. So we are not only children of mortality, we are children also of immortality. And that is why something in us responds. as if a soul long dead were moved to live. That's why we move back. Soul in the sense we accept the being accepted to fall back into darkness. The soul also goes back into the darkness. It accepts. That's the play of manifestation. But it wakes up from there. It comes back into the play of change, of expression. So, this pattern of rising and falling, of opening and failure, but the oblivion that succeeds the fall. Oblivion is forgetfulness. We lose contact. We are cut off from the origin. Had blotted the crowded tablets of the past. The memory is the tablets of the past. We are really children of immortality. We had that relationship. It was all part of, I'm descended from there. I'm descended from the divine. In our legend, that's why we have no dynasties that are descended from the sun, descended from the moon. It's not, it's a symbol of that is our origin, that is the starting point. But those are written in tablets. That's wiped off. In our fall, we forget. We have lost connection. We have fallen into ignorance. And therefore, we have to resume the journey at every stage. Therefore, evolution is a circular pattern. It's not a straight climb. Progress is not a straight climb. We progress, we regress. We rise, we fall. Sri Aurobindo says, it's not on the same level even when we rise higher than before. It's like a spiral circle. We rise high. We fall lower than before even. Rise higher than before. And so had blotted the crowded tablets of the past. And all that was destroyed must be rebuilt. And old experience labored out once more. It seems to be a thankless job. You have to pass through the same patterns. Then you can ask yourself, then will it ever really change? So you have a beautiful line that follows. All can be done if the God touch is there. So with that, it's a nice line to stop.